Oakland is sweeping encampments beneath their freeways, and they're trying to clean up the homeless problem. Check it out.
Evening, we start in Oakland, where the city spent the day cleaning up a large encampment under the freeway. Now, our chopper was overhead earlier, where police officers and city crews were on scene with a garbage truck. The focus was on the area around Martin Luther King Way and West.
All right, couple different points before we show this. Number one, I think that the news is crazy outdated. They still using get to the chopper. You don't need choppers. If I'm ever an executive at a news company, if I'm ever an executive at some of these companies, if I'm ever a politician that controls the budget for the city, I am going to clean out everything. You can eliminate the chopper and you can use drones. That's why drones exist. You don't need a helicopter. You don't need to gas it. You don't need to do none of that. You just charge the drone, and then you get a drone pilot, and then you fly it above it, and then you can see all of the things, and you can probably see it in a much better view than you can in a helicopter. Why is everything so outdated today? You can use a drone. You don't need helicopters anymore. I would completely eliminate so many different things. Some of these places are so long in tooth and doing the things that they've been doing for such a long time. But anyways, let's continue.
Grand near 980. But tonight, the city council will decide whether to take the drastic step of closing part of 23rd Street between Brush Street and West Street. So that area is just a block away from today's encampment cleanup. The city says the street closure is part of an effort to curb illegal dumping. But Katie Nielsen spoke to some who are worried about the people getting pushed out.
This is the portion of 23rd Street the city is talking about closing for the next 18 months. It's because of all the illegal dumping, and while it's not officially part of the MLK encampment, it sure does look similar with tents lining the sidewalk.
This is straight up a sweep, not a cleanup.
Tina Harvey is talking about what's happening on MLK and West Grand today, where city crews were cleaning up trash from a large encampment area.
There had people here in tents. Where's the tents? Where's the people? So it's more like a sweep than it is a cleanup.
I don't talk to nobody that don't have no front teeth, but got money to get red hair. I'm not negotiating with anybody that don't have no front teeth. In order to be able to debate with me, you got to be able to use your THs. That's just the way that I see things. I have some weird standards in my life, right? And it's not the same standards that everybody else uses, because I know that everybody is in their fielding. If you can't say teeth and you say teeth, if you speak with your lips down instead of your tongue like this, if you can't say teeth, because see, I'm the type of person that'll walk up to you and say thucker and thuckatash. See, I don't care. You can't say nothing to me unless you can enunciate every single word that's inside of the dictionary. Not saying that you got to know it, because some of us are C students like myself, but you got to be able to enunciate your words. You can't sit here and negotiate and tell me what I'm going to do, because if you ain't got no front teeth, chances are you don't even pay no taxes. If you can't say teeth and you got to say teeth, you can't talk to me, bro.
She used to be unhoused and lived in the Wood Street encampment, but has since been placed in more permanent housing. She's concerned for the folks who are being pushed out of the area, because she says many of them have nowhere else to go, like Chantel Banks.
Where are you going to go?
I don't know. I really don't.
According to the city, there are approximately 30 to 40 people who live in the MLK encampment.
I'm just
After
saying.
A recent
Can't nobody say nothing to me that ain't got, whatever. Let me focus. Y'all gonna make me start laughing, and we gonna get derailed. And you know how we go when we get derailed. It just go all the way into a dark hole.
double murder, plus aggravated assaults, robberies, burglaries, and shootings. The city says it's safer for everyone for the encampment to close.
They don't want to go in for shelter. They just want to be out here doing drugs, tearing up the streets. That's not fair for taxpayers.
Akila McHenry owns a condo just a few blocks away and says she's been trying to get the city and the police department to do something about the area for more than 2 years.
They always refer you to 211, and 211 refer you to the non-emergency number. It's just a bunch, and then when you call, they say, oh, we already have that site on the radar.
Just a block away on 23rd Street between Brush and West Street, a similar scene.
Look at that.
And this is where the city is talking about.
You look. You can't have that. You can't have that. In no city across the world can you have this. In no city across, there are cities that are much larger than New York, like Tokyo, and they have you see no homeless nowhere. And I'll tell you, as a person that has worked with homeless people for a year straight, every single weekend I was volunteering my time, most of these people, they choose to be on the street because they don't want the resource. If you walk up to them and you say, hey man, we can get you off the street, we got housing for you, we got this, we got that, they'd be like, nah, I'm straight. They don't even want to talk to you. They don't even want to take your, hey man, here, I got some money for you. You want to, nah, I'm good. They'll walk away from your donation. Most people, not all, but most people that you approach that you actually want to help, hey man, I can get you off the streets, I can get you some, nah, I'm good. They choose and they find them a little comfy spot, and then it start looking like this. And this is the thing that you got to deal with as taxpayers. Then you start funding the drug use and all of this stuff that's happening in these environments. Is nowhere in the world where this is ever going to be a conducive environment to growth. Nobody that's existing in this environment right here is ever going to say, you know what? I woke up this morning and I decided that I want to pull myself up by my bootstraps. Nope. You got to remove it, and you got to set some standards, and you got to force people to abide by those standards, or they can choose to get out.
About closing the street for 18 months to prevent more illegal dumping.
It sounds like a sweep. Doesn't sound like somebody that's trying to clean it up. I think that I feel like they're just cutting it off not to have to deal with it.
Wait, he a pastor? Don't even get me started.
Personally, I feel like they're just cutting it off not to have to deal with it.
We can't drive our vehicles.
But for residents like Akila, she says it's about time the city took more drastic action to get people off the streets.
There's a lot of shelters with a lot of beds that's available. Let's see how many people will go to beds today.
The city says local businesses are so fed up with the issues, they've actually offered to pay for the barriers to close off this section of 23rd Street. Now, the city
People is tired of it. Anyways, in addition to that, an 81-year-old woman is randomly punched inside of New York City, and this is happening in a lot of different places in New York.
The attack happening just a few blocks away from Lincoln Center, and that suspect is still on the run tonight.
All right, Fox 5's Duarte Geraldino spoke exclusively with the woman. What did she have to say tonight, Duarte?
Steve, Natasha, that 81-year-old woman told me she feels lucky to still be breathing and walking. When I sat down and spoke with her, she also explained how she has bruises over much of her upper body.
The neck was almost as fat as my face.
Hey, imagine your grandmother, your 81-year-old grandmother, comes back, or you go to visit her, and she calls you like, hey, nephew, I had a little incident today, and you walk up and you see her face looking like this. Everybody going down. Everybody going down. Y'all are ungodly. How are y'all walking around punching 81-year-old women randomly in NYC? And then y'all gonna sit here and try to tell me that there ain't demons and devils that's running around in these streets.
My nose is broken. Here, you can see the swollenness here. Can you see?
Look at her
The
neck.
black and blue. Yeah, maybe I'll take my glasses and you can see.
Gwilla has survived heart surgery, a hip replacement, and now a vicious attack.
That's the scary part, in front of my building.
In this surveillance footage obtained exclusively by Fox 5, you see her stop as her dog sniffs a wall. A man dressed in black walks past her. Her back is to him. He turns around, heads towards her, punches her so hard she's knocked off her feet. We intentionally pause the video before the punch lands.
When you knocked me, I hit my nose here and then I fell down.
In the video, you can see her attacker calmly walking off. Her dog tries to comfort her. Passers-by rush to help her. She's laying still on the sidewalk. You don't look like you were going to get up when I saw that video. But here you are.
Because I didn't want to see the tape. And maybe because I feel so lucky, because he could have had a knife, right?
She suffered a concussion and doesn't remember much of the attack, but it has now been added to a growing pile of NYPD data showing misdemeanor
That's crazy.
assaults up 9% from this time last year and up nearly 15% over the past 2 years. You can hear the stories of women randomly punched on social media.
But wait a minute, I thought that they said crime was down everywhere. I thought crime was down in all the major cities.
Just got punched in the face walking home. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. I can't even talk.
Here's a closer look at Guela's attacker. She wants treatment for him, not jail time.
It was not against me.
No, you got to go to jail for that.
He's sick because he did not really rob me, did not take anything. He just really just hit me for no good reason.
She says she knows what her neighbors were thinking when they saw her outside just 3 days after the attack.
Already on the street? Of course I am. You know, I'm not going to hide in my apartment.
And she is in good spirits, but her attacker, he's still out there, and police need...
Now let me jaywalk and throw some gum on the street. Oh, and then last but not least, speaking of New York, they're calling for Eric Adams to resign amid all of these probes and the fact that New York City is in shambles.
To this now, new calls for Mayor Adams to step down following the federal investigation into his administration.
All right, Fox 5's Morgan McKay joins us now with more details of the mounting pressure on the mayor. Morgan.
Stephen, Bianca, another lawmaker is now calling on Mayor Eric Adams to resign, but Adams has a message to reporters. He is over answering questions about the more than 4 federal investigations looking into him and his team.
Does the FBI still have your cell phones?
New York City Schools Chancellor David Banks refusing to answer any more questions about the federal investigation targeting him and his 2 brothers, Deputy Mayor Phil Banks and former MTA official Terrence Banks. On Friday, Banks confirmed that his phones were still being held by the FBI, but hasn't given an update since. Mayor Eric Adams appeared with Chancellor Banks for the first time in public since news of the raids were leaked and attended Banks' State of the Schools address. Adams did not speak at the event, however, and snuck out while Banks was still talking. Later, Adams also pushed back on answering any more questions about the growing number of federal investigations looking into him and his team.
We're not going to be distracted, and one of the distractions is answering the same question over and over and over and over again, like you're going to get a different answer. I'm just not going to do that. I got a city to run.
But now a 4th lawmaker, City Councilwoman Alexa Avelas, is calling on Adams to resign. At one point, Adams was asked if he understands that it's not just reporters who want to know more about these investigations.
No, I don't understand. Because if they had that same level of concern, then I would see it when I'm in the public with all of the town halls.
Adams also pushed back on reports that his legal advisor, Lisa Zornberg, resigned over the weekend because he would not take her advice and fire some of his aides involved in these federal investigations. This includes one of his top aides, Tim Pearson, who is also separately facing numerous sexual misconduct lawsuits. However, the 2 have deep ties. Pearson was Adams' commanding officer when they worked for the NYPD and have long been friends. When asked about his loyalty to Pearson, Adams defended Pearson's reputation.
And I saw it in my career in law enforcement. There are lawsuits leveled against people often, from police officers. I saw what happened to Yusef Salaam. I saw what happens to others. Let the process take its course.
Well, one of the reasons that he's saying this is because Eric Adams is also being sued himself under that New York thing where they allow for women, the same thing that they got Diddy for, that Cassie had filed the lawsuit for. Well, it was a woman that basically came forward. I don't believe her. I think that she was probably lying. That basically came forward and was accusing him in a lawsuit. So he was one of the people that's being swept up in it. Us as a people, we usually forget about it because we just let people continue to rock. But yeah, man, he got a lot going on. So I don't think that he's ever going to resign. Usually you don't see black people resign. Tiffany Henyard, Eric Adams, black people don't resign. They be like, listen, I need my money and we need our paycheck. And until I get another job, I'm just going to be here. So you just going to have to deal with it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits.